Hawala is a crime?
Yeah, of course. In the US, it's a crime because it's your. They don't regulate it. It's actually an offering financial service without a license. So it's a crime. Yeah, it's a crime. But there was a lot of restrictions. Even those exchange houses. Yeah, they're not allowed.
Is it against us that we are here doing this?
No, it's not. But I mean, the initiative the central bank has done to regulate them, that's a very good initiative. That's why, as I told you, back in 2007, I attended that meeting, and the United Nations were there, and they actually appreciated the initiative itself. They were happy with it. So that's a good initiative because we know we cannot stop them. So at least regulate them. You know, that's a good initiative. The idea itself is very good. The initiative is very good. So I don't think, no, that's not going to be a negative thing against us because we are doing the efforts.
As an exam point of view, since it is US exam, so there Hawala.
Yeah, Hawala is a crime. Yes, that's right. Another thing also, even they have lots of restrictions. Even they have now restrictions on, or I mean, not even now. It's like since 4 or 5 years. Even on the Somali exchange houses, now they stopped any transfers to Somalia. So even the people there are Americans who are from Somali origin. They had a problem sending money back home. So and that was not a good initiative because they actually opened the door for hawalas. Because all those people who used to come under your radar, now they moved somewhere else where you don't see them at all. But that was a decision, and I knew personally people who were having hawalas there, and there are Somalis, and they said now we cannot make any remittance to Somalia at all. So sometimes they take decisions, but not all decisions or not all decisions are good. Corporate vehicles. That term is very important. It's actually, the vehicle here, of course, is not a car that you drive, but it is a medium or a way, or I would say a vehicle or a medium to launder money. So those who create these corporate vehicles are mainly the gatekeepers, lawyers, accountants, investment advisors, and auditors, accountants, trust and company service providers. They create certain vehicles, certain tools, and these tools enable them to help the criminals to launder their money. So, of course, here we talk about shell companies, shell corporations, hedge funds, other companies that hide the beneficial ownership, trusts, companies that use bearer bonds and securities. The ultimate objective here is to hide the UBO, to hide the ultimate beneficial owner. Because here you're dealing with money launderers, you're dealing with terrorists, so we cannot deal explicitly. So you need to create for them a vehicle, a platform where they can transact without their real identity being exposed. That's the whole idea in a nutshell. So regardless of the structure, it has to be complicated, complex, very complex, and it has to hide and cover the identity of the beneficial owner. The misuse of corporate vehicles, public companies' shares are freely available and traded publicly, so you don't have a control on who buys and shares. It's a publicly traded shares, so anybody can buy. So this is something that they can do. This is usually no limit. There is usually no limit to the number of shareholders. Information on ownership and its board of directors is publicly available. Companies are subject to significant regulations. So these are related to public companies. How about the private limited companies? They are not publicly traded. They are restrictive in the number of shares. Ownership can be one or many, subject to minimal regulatory oversight. So who's more risky here is the private limited companies because of the lack of the regulations.
And there is a shell company, there is also shelf companies.
Yes. Shelf companies and shell companies are different. Yeah. Shelf companies is mainly what you get from BVI and so on. This is a shelf company, so you go and after 2 minutes you can have a company. The company is registered, they're registered everything. It's just like they put your name and that's it. Congratulations, you have a company.
Panama is one of the biggest
Yeah.
city of shelf.
Shelf companies, yeah.
It's available there.
Yeah, you pick it off the shelf. That's it. Yeah.
People moving somewhere else after Panama Papers.
Yeah. I mean, you have lots of options, so you are not stick to Panama. You have lots of places. Yeah, now they move somewhere else because there is now light on that. So
So shelf companies are not crime, but
no, not crime, but
shelf companies are crime.
shell companies, of course, because shell companies there is an element of deception and fraud,
Yeah.
and especially shell banks. Shell banks is really bad, and we had a shell bank, by the way, here in UAE. Anybody knows about it? We had one.
Had one.
Yeah, we had one. BCCI.
Yeah.
BCCI was a shell bank. Bank الاعتماد والتجارة. It was a shell bank. The head office of BCCI was in Luxembourg, and that bank have collapsed. And
But this is a Pakistani bank, BCCI is a
Luxembourg.
Luxembourg.
Luxembourg was the head office. It was incorporated.
It was operating, right?
Yeah, it was operated. It had branches, everything, but it had no head office. There was no head office. If you went to the head office at the address registered, you will find a lawyer's office, one bedroom.
The liquidator of that bank sits here.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why when the bank collapsed, the late Sheikh Zayed Allah yarhamu, he paid the depositor out of his own money. And you know who was the auditor? Pricewaterhouse.
Of this company.
Yeah, of BCCI, the auditor were Pricewaterhouse. And after that, Pricewaterhouse was banned in UAE by Sheikh Zayed. He said, no Pricewaterhouse. They never came back until the merge with Coopers and Library. That period, after the collapse of BCCI, there was no Pricewaterhouse in UAE. It was a big thing. It was a big, because, yeah. So they only came back after Coopers, because Coopers was operative here, Coopers and Library. It was in the 80s, I believe. Yeah, in the 80s. Yeah.
So though there is operations are there, but the registration is not.
The registration, no, that's why, as I told you, if you look at the definition, it's very misleading. It's a bank incorporated in a city or a state with no physical presence and does not follow a regulated banking group. If you read it, you will not understand it. It's actually a bank with no physical head office and is not part, and both of them have to be there, and is not part of a regulated banking group. Like, for example, if I incorporated today a bank as a lawyer, and I put the address as my legal office, then I signed an agreement with Citigroup, and I became part of Citigroup and not a shell bank. Because in this case, I'm regulated by the regulator of Citi. You can always go to Citibank, and if Citibank didn't do anything, you can go to the regulator of Citibank. But in case I'm incorporated with no physical head office and I'm standalone, to whom you're going to go?
Yeah.
To whom you're going to go? So that means the bank is not regulated. Although the branches were regulated, BCCI was regulated here by Central Bank.
Yeah.
But always the bank follows the regulation of its head office. But what if the head office doesn't exist? That means the bank is not regulated. Like, for example, when you talk about HSBC, HSBC is regulated by Jersey Financial Service Authority. That means that HSBC in UAE doesn't follow Central Bank? It follows. But why Jersey Financial Service Authority? That's where the head office is. So if you go to Jersey Island, let's say, and you don't find HSBC, that means that bank is not regulated. That was the case of BCCI. So the shell bank is a fraudulent scheme because those who put their money here with BCCI never knew that this bank doesn't have a head office. Never knew that they are dealing with an unregulated bank. That element was an element of deception. That fact was not disclosed. That's why shell banks are an issue. Shell corporations is the issue. Same. For example, today, let's say you want to buy the shares of Microsoft. You assume that when you go there, you'll find Microsoft. But if you went there and you didn't find Microsoft, that means you got deceived. You bought a share of a company that doesn't exist. There's no head office, right? So that's the same thing about shell corporation is, again, a corporation that has been incorporated in a state where it has no physical presence.
But sometimes they do it, example, if you want some company, the mother company, they open it there. So
Yeah.
when you own a share, you own the mother company, and then you own other company.
That's fine. But as far as the mother company exists,
It exists somewhere else.
yeah, no problem. Not an issue. But the
Everything is there.
Yeah, but the problem is when it exists only on paper. Doesn't exist in real.
Physically,
So as I said, physically BCCI didn't exist in Luxembourg where it was incorporated. There is no head office.
It's not just banks, like something, other companies.
Yeah, banks, companies, corporations, any shell company, shell bank, shell corporation, that means it has no physical head office.
But for how long did it operate?
It operated for a while. operated for some good time. Yeah, yeah.
Not only here, worldwide.
Worldwide, yeah. I mean, it's not here, but it, yeah, it was there. And now, even if you Google today, there are. You think today there's no shell banks? There are shell banks, and there are lots of American shell banks. You know, actually, most of the banks are either between UK and US. The shell banks. When you talk about that, they are there. So there are shell banks. Okay. So that's different from, as we mentioned, Shelf company, and Shelf is a company which is existing and everything, but as I said, it is incorporated before you come. So the lawyers, they incorporate many companies and they put it on the shelf. I want a PVI company. Okay. Do you really care about the name? No. Okay. I have a company now. They put your name. Here you go. You are a company owner now. If you care about the name, it will take you maybe 5 hours because we need to do an incorporation from the start. It will take 5 hours anyway. Like, for example, from here, you can incorporate a company in Singapore. They will tell you, review of the file, half an hour. Getting the initial approval, 1 hour. It's just a matter of hours. So the total, 8 hours. 8 hours, you are a company owner. Yeah. Right? You don't need to fly to Singapore. You don't need to fly to British Virgin Island or US Virgin Island. Yeah, you pay. Who wants this? They can afford to pay. Yeah. LLC or limited liability companies, attractive vehicle because can be owned or managed anonymously. Virtually anyone can own or manage an LLC, including foreign persons and other business entities. Then we have IBCs, International Business Corporations, formed outside of a person or business's country of residence. Typically, it's an offshore jurisdiction used for confidentiality or asset protection purposes. Then you have the public investment companies, PIC, established and used in a similar manner as IPC. And however, they are typically limited to holding investment assets in tax-neutral offshore financial jurisdictions. So we have more of the acronyms. So we have PICs, LLCs, we have IBCs, then you have corporations. Yeah. Okay. طبعا احنا قلنا اتفقنا من الاول ان الاكرونيمز it has to be موجود. Yeah. And always my recommendation is try to keep them all together. So when you review them at the end, you go through all the acronyms because we will have a lot. Like this board will be full of acronyms.
There will be like a definition thing?
Yeah, they can tell you, for example, in a case of a LLC, what is the money laundering, for example, risk? And they will give you 4 options. So if you don't know what LLC is, you are blind in the dark. Yeah. So there are lots of acronyms which we are going to still move to. So now I think we have quite a lot, but still the...
I think IBC
Yeah.
is also FZC company.
Is?
Free zone company.
Yeah. It's an offshore, like the free zones that we have here. Yeah. So again, the idea of the corporate vehicles. So we have here, for example, Titan PTE in Singapore. Then there is 60% in Titanium PTE, and you have 10% owned by Tom and Bob. Then that 60%, part of it goes to Adam and Mary. Then there is a Titan Trust Cayman Island. Then you have Bill and Ally. Can you imagine those here? You know, will you be able to reach to that, especially in an offshore jurisdiction like Cayman Island? So again, depends on how you want to hide, whether you want to hide them simple, more difficult, more and more difficult. It depends how many levels you will go. So how many drilling down you need to make. As I showed you at the beginning in the hedge funds, you can drill down for maybe 2-3 generations ahead because your life is not sufficient to continue drilling. Sometimes it's really amazing. Like you go and you reach nowhere. The U.S. Patriot Act provision on foreign correspondent banking. That's a new area. Yeah. The main 3 sections that I saw, which are very relevant to us, are sections 312, 313, 317, 319.
They have A and B.
Yeah, there are lots, but these are the main ones. Section 312, risk-based due diligence, risks posed by foreign financial institutions. So here, whichever relation between you as a foreign financial institution and your US correspondent bank is regulated by Section 312. And Section 312 addresses the risk of the foreign respondent bank to the US correspondent bank. The risk posed by the foreign financial institution, the respondent bank, to the US correspondent bank. For every correspondent, you have a respondent bank, right? That's Section 312. Section 313 prohibits foreign shell banks. He didn't say prohibit shell banks. Prohibits non-US foreign shell banks. They are okay with their own shell banks. They don't have a problem. So they prohibit the foreign shell banks from maintaining correspondent accounts at the US financial institutions. That's Section 313. Foreign. Yeah.
Which section?
Yeah, they can ask. These are four very important sections. Other ones you don't need to, for that sake of the exam, unless you are applying for a certificate called CRCM, Certified Regulatory Compliance Manager. Then you will have to study all the US regulations. Regulation O, the FIFIC manual, all the BSA sections. It's a nightmare. I've been 5 years studying this and I didn't finish yet. 400 pages, 400 pages, 400 pages. It's CRCM, Certified Regulatory Compliance Manager. Passing rate 3%. 100 people sit, 97 fail, 3 pass. It's horrible. Just Google CRCM. So I'm pretty much aware of this, but I don't want to take you into details because... Yeah, exactly. Okay. Section 317, it's called the US long arm law. US long arm. From the name, you can make out. So the US gives itself the right that whether you are having a US operation, whether you are dealing in US dollar or not, the US has the right to reach you, fine you, and put sanctions and disciplinary measures against you if you violate their laws and regulations. Why? Well, we are strong. We are proactive. We need to go to we need to fight criminals where they are. We don't want to wait for them to come to us. You know, the justifications are huge, but again, this is one of the laws that is very scary.
So I have a question here.
Yep.
You said whether you are dealing in a U.S. jurisdiction
Or not.
or not.
Yep.
Whether you are dealing in U.S. dollar or not.
That's right.
If in the jurisdiction, if dealing in U.S. dollar makes sense.
Yep.
But if you're not doing either, okay,
It doesn't make sense.
how do you violate?
Yeah. For me, Section 317, for me, if you ask me personally, for me, it doesn't make sense. But that's they justify this to their national security.
National security.
Yeah. It's a national security issue.
Applicable to their jurisdiction.
No, they say no. I mean, they code the September 11. We left the criminals in Afghanistan to grow, and they came and they killed us at home. Next time, we will go to them before they come to us. That came mainly after September 11. So they took September 11 as...
So that is pertaining to terrorists or terrorism-related offenses.
Mainly.
Talking primarily about money laundering.
Yeah, but money laundering and tourism financing are the same, different faces of the same coin. Because in tourism financing, you need to do 3 things. You need to find means to raise money, you need to find means to move money, and you need to find means to launder money. So laundering is part of the tourism financing. So if you're laundering money, you are part of the cycle. So that's why, as I said, that Section 317 is mainly to protect their national security. That means we are not going to wait for criminals to come to us. We will go to them.
Suppose any criminal in Nigeria, so they can reach,
They can reach, yeah,
even though it is not affecting their economy.
even though.
Yeah, like,
Under Section 317, they give themselves an open right to do anything.
but how can they prosecute a person in another country through which channel?
They have lots of means. Like they can blacklist you. That's under Section 317. They can disconnect you from all your US correspondence. They can disconnect you from all your correspondence because they can simply say any bank deals with you, US correspondence will not deal with them.
They can disconnect your.
They can do lots of things, right?
They will put it in the blacklist. Or anything.
Yeah, you know.
Instead of taking direct action,
Yeah.
you can take indirect.
That's right. So if, for example, like we provide blacklist services. I have more than 850 blacklists. I haven't seen any name added to UN, not in the US. Normally it's the other way around. The name comes in OFAC, maybe after 2-3 days it goes to the UN. So, and not all the names in OFAC is available in the other lists. So US will have names that the US personally have problems with. They don't necessarily need to be bad. Not everybody in OFAC is bad. But people are on the OFAC are those that US has a problem with. If I have a problem with you, I'll OFAC list you. That's it. And that's why you'll find many people on the OFAC, they're not on the UN. If the person is in the UN, that means he's really bad because the United Nations have put him as a bad person. That's why most of the regulators, and I believe Central Bank, is approving UN rather than OFAC. Right? Yeah. But hypothetically, OFAC is very important because you cannot give up your US correspondence. Yeah, but officially, you don't approve OFAC. Why? It is because it is so much subjective. It's not objective thing. It is related to the US. Who's US happy with and who's US not happy with? And if the US is happy with somebody, even if he is bad, they will delist him. Like now they are delisting, let's say, Iran. Does it mean that Iran is good, became good? No. Because they have problems with Russia, then we need to put Iran on the hold for now. Yeah? So it's different. Right? So that's why, as I said, this 317 is very, very risky because they can reach anybody and they can sanction them, blacklist them, fine them, depending on how they are dealing with them. Okay? Section 319, foreign banks have strict, rigorous information disclosure duties towards their US correspondents. So they are forcing you to provide information. You cannot say no. When I ask you for information, you must furnish information as per Section 319. What if I don't? Let's go to Section 317. It's as simple as this. You don't like Section 319? Let's go to Section 317. No. Section 319 is good. Okay. That's how it is. Okay. Out of experience. I'm telling you out of experience. And I saw this happening. Because many banks, they tried, oh, well, I have to go and get permission of my local regulator. We cannot data protection law. Okay, no problem. You don't want to give the information? Let's go to Section 317. No, it's okay. We'll get the approval. We'll come back to you. It is like this, twisting arms. Okay? So these are the very important sections in the US that apply to us. And that's why I picked up those. Of course, there is, as our colleague said, there's A and B, and one of them is OFAC, Office of Foreign Asset Control, which is part of the US Department of Treasury, which, and as per the name, it's Office of Foreign Asset Control. So that office is monitoring mainly the foreign assets, not the US assets, it's a foreign asset. So that office is mainly for surveilling whatever is outside the US.
And they have certain powers.
Yeah, definitely. Then we have concentration accounts. Yeah, concentration accounts are internal accounts. These are accounts internal in the bank established to facilitate the processing and settlement of multiple or individual customer transaction within the bank, usually on the same day. So it's like a contra account. They use that account for as an internal account to process certain transactions. It can also be known as omnibus accounts. So if they told you omnibus accounts, or if they told you concentration accounts are, then, for example, A, it's same as omnibus account. It's customer account, wrong. It's internal account, yes. It's PTA account, wrong, right? So you need to figure out what a concentration account is. It's frequently used to facilitate transactions for private banking, trust and custody accounts, funds, transfer, and international affiliates. Money laundering risks may arise if the customer identifying information, name, transaction amount, account number is separated from the financial transaction, leading to a loss of audit trail. Accounts may be also subject to misuse or improper administration, mainly from the enemy within. These accounts are misused by bankers because Most of the banks, when they install the AML monitoring system, they will install it monitoring the customer accounts. Whatever is not customer account, the AML system will not monitor. So I have certain accounts that I can play with and without any monitoring. Like I had this, I'll speak about my personal experience. I used to be heading the anti-money laundering with Kuwait Finance House in Kuwait. We were an Islamic bank. As per Islamic Sharia, if there is an account that has one dinar only, you don't have the right to close this account because that's amana. This is on your custody. It will remain till the day of judgment. Okay, but I have accounts for people who left Kuwait before invasion. They will never come back. Some of them died already outside. I don't know anything about them. There is 1 dinar, and I'm maintaining these accounts. What do I do? It's dormant accounts, and have been dormant for the last 15, 20 years. You cannot touch them. So from a Sharia perspective, you cannot touch them. So whenever I get auditors, they always tell me that, well, you have a problem here. So I said, no, I don't have a problem here. If they said, why don't you move them to a ledger account? I said, if I move them to a ledger account, I will stop seeing that. Because here, as a customer account, if that account got awakened, I will immediately get a report from my AML system. When I move them to an internal account, I lost the control. I lost the monitoring on it. So I could convince the auditors that this is a control, keeping them as they are, and I'm having alerts. If any of these accounts got awakened by an internal enemy, I will immediately get notified. But if I move them to ledger accounts, I will not see them anymore. And that's why in UAE, you will find lots of Russians, Ukrainians. They are getting all these preloaded cards. How they load the card? They have banks, employees there in Russia. They have access to these internal funds, which belongs to nobody. They load the card, they come and take it here. And they disappear. And if you want to do it very smart, they come and open company. And I saw it happening. They open companies here. They use the company account to dump in the large amounts of cash. The guy disappears, money disappears, company goes dormant, and go and look for him. Of course, he will get blacklisted in UAE, but he doesn't want to come back. Yeah, he will not come back. Who made this millions here? Why he needs to come back? That's it. Block me as much as you can. That's it. I made good money. I'll go and live like a king, like His Highness there in my country. You don't need to come back. That's what happens. So again, this account, the internal accounts are very serious. And that's why whenever I implement AML systems, I include internal accounts. That's what most of the vendors, they miss. Why do you need internal accounts? Internal accounts are very, very serious because I need to monitor my enemy within. I need to monitor what my employees are doing, what my bank staff are doing. They have access to these accounts without monitoring. That's a weakness. You got the point? So these are concentration accounts. Then we have the bearer bonds and securities. The main problem here is the word bearer. لحامله, to the holder. So again, it destroys the KYC, the due diligence. How would you know who's the holder? How would you know who's the bearer? When I issue a check to the bearer, who's holding the check now? I don't know. But when I issue a check in a name, I know who's the beneficiary. Here, I don't know.
I think 2 days, last week I heard something that some banks are cancelling this to the bearer. They would only
Yeah. That's a good thing. But as I said, the bearer is always an issue because once you open the bearer door, then the instrument negotiates just by handing it over to somebody. There is no registrations here. There is no due diligence. There is no nothing. I just hand it over to you. Now you are the beneficial owner. I hand it over to you. Now you became a beneficial owner. So as a bank, how will I monitor all that? How will I monitor people handing over physically the shares?
receive the cash.
He's the owner, or yeah, but again, he can use a front. I have a book I issued. It's called The Muppet Holder. You know, when you go and you see the Muppet show, you find dolls dancing. Who's moving the dolls? Somebody you don't see. The dolls here, they're not the beneficial owner. The beneficial owner is the one who's moving these people. So I will never, for example, if I want to launder money, I will never open an account or company in my name. But I will get people to open companies in their names. Okay, I'll pay them heavily. I'll tell them, guys, look, you're gonna get a good money, but you forget about UAE. You cannot come back because you'll be blacklisted. They say, okay, you give me that money, I don't want to come back. I'll put him as a front. They will do all the hanky-panky. I'll take the money. They will take their money. They will leave. They get blacklisted. Case closed. I get more people, and I continue doing the same. So I'm playing with the prosecutors from the background. The prosecutors are not seeing me. They keep on blacklisting the front that I'm putting for them, the Muppets. But I operate from the background. Nobody will see me. You get the point? This is a very important thing. So this is the issue of the bearer. And bearer shares, as per the FATF, are not forbidden. They are allowed. The FATF did not forbid bearer shares. Trusts, whether onshore or offshore. Of course, offshore is much more risky because of the reason that we know about offshore. Trust can be used as part of the first step in converting illicit cash into less suspicious assets. I will not go to the bank. I will form a trust. I'll deposit the money in the trust. I will put any reason for this trust. And thank you very much. Tomorrow, I will dissolve this trust, or I will put another beneficiary, and I will take the money easy, neat, and clean. It can help hide criminal ownership of funds or other assets, often an essential link between different money laundering vehicles and techniques, such as real estate, shell and active companies, nominees, and the deposit and transfer of criminal proceeds.
So these trusts are, why they are formed?
They are formed, for example, let's say I want to make a trust for the education of my kids. So I'll make a trust, I will put money, that money will keep on invested. The proceeds of this should go to my beneficiaries. For example, let's say my son, when he reaches to the college, I want all his college fees to be taken care of. So I'll form this trust, he will be the beneficiary. But who's the beneficial owner? It's me, because I'm the one controlling the trust. He's only the beneficiary out of it. So as a bank, you may not know who's the beneficial owner, because I can complicate things further, that I will make the beneficial owner a company. The company is owned by another company. The company is owned by another company, and I own this company. So how would you reach to me? You will see the trust, you will see the beneficiary. That's what I want you to see. But for me, you cannot see me. Always remember, criminal will not have face-to-face interaction with you, will not let you see him. He will always operate remotely. Okay? Today what happens, and that's why in our website we are putting a free consultancy. That free consultancy is actually a challenge to all banks, and it never failed us. The game is as follows. How good is your KYC? Some banks, they said, well, we have perfect KYC. I challenge you to find any flaws in our KYC. It's okay. What if I came, I made an audit, and I got you people who are on the blacklist? Impossible. That cannot happen. We check our customer base every day. We have a system. We have this. We have that. You ready for the challenge? Yes. Okay. Let's do it. 99.9, it never failed me. I get it. How I get it? Because I know how criminals enter. You think criminals don't know what kind of systems you have? They know. But they know also how to enter. Like when I do I also do a course for currency counterfeiting. So I give the people the devices, the ultraviolet, and they can check the currency. And we do transactions. The ultimate objective is at the end, you should not have a forged note. Okay? And then at the end, everybody ends up with a forged note. But you are using the devices, yes? The criminal knows, even if you have the device, I still can beat the device. You got the point? So in the banks here, how do they do this? There are serious weaknesses. Number one, I open an account today. I'm the beneficiary and I'm the beneficial owner, right? Let's take it simple. I give a power of attorney on my account. Am I still the beneficiary and beneficial owner? No. Exactly. Who has the power of attorney? What kind of due diligence do you do? First of all, is he your customer or not? Many banks, they say, no, he's not my customer. Why? Because he links the customer to the account. Who's your customer? Those who are maintaining accounts. That's the biggest mistake. Your customers are not only those who are maintaining accounts. Who else? The guarantors, the guardians, the agents, those who have a power of attorney, safe deposit box owners, supplement credit card holders. These are your accounts, your customers. Do you KYC them? By phone, I call the bank. I want a supplement credit card. For whom? For my wife. What's your wife's name? XYZ. Thank you very much. After 2 days, you will receive the card, sir. Who told you that she's my wife?
My bank, they do ask for it.
Trust me, it happened to me. I'm telling you about personal experience here with banks without mentioning names. By telephone. Can you just spell it? Oh, okay. And they give the name wrong also after I spell it. Nobody knows. And what's worse than this, when you go to the bank and you tell them that this is your customer, they say, no, this is not my customer. I will go to the main account holder. So I asked them a very simple question. Okay, how if this person is Osama bin Laden? No, we'll have a problem. He's not your customer. What's your problem? If I told you Osama bin Laden passed in front of your bank, you have a problem? No. Why? Because I don't care. I don't own the road. Let him pass. But if he has a supplement card holder, no, I care. That means he's your customer because you care. He's having a card with a bank logo. He has access to funds. And you are telling me he's not your customer? In what sense? Right or no? What due diligence you do on supplement card holder? What due diligence you do on the grantors? What due diligence you do on guardians? All this don't have a bank accounts. What due diligence you do on those who are having power of attorneys? You don't look at them at all. One bank said, no, we check anybody who has the power of attorney, we check his name against blacklist. How often? Once? Okay. Because we are a blacklist provider, I tell you that blacklist changes every 8 hours. Every 8 hours you have an update on the list. That means there are 3 updates per day. Per day. So the person who's not blacklisted at 8 o'clock in the morning, he may get blacklisted at 3 o'clock p.m. Whom are you checking? You're checking your customer base at 12 o'clock at midnight. How about your power of attorneys? You don't check that. So if anyone who is holding a power of attorney got blacklisted, you will not, and I will put not in capital letters, you will not know. You will not know. Do you think the criminal is stupid enough to know that his name is on OFAC and he will come to you and open an account? He is that stupid? No, he'll not do that. But I will send a good guy who will open an account and I will operate on this account remotely. Nobody would know. Again, we need to think outside the box. If we do the traditional money laundering as per the 80s or 70s, we are outdated. Criminals are very, very smart. They know our systems. The guy is sitting in Florida. He knows your weaknesses here in Dubai. From Florida. He doesn't need to come. And you are sitting here saying, no, I'm the best person who knows my system. No, head of compliance didn't know the issue that she had in her IT system. He knew it there in Florida. How? Because these people are very smart. 2 STRs I filed in Kuwait. One of them, the guy is on the OFAC, Mohsen Al-Fadli. Terrorist. The guy he didn't maintain an account. He maintained with us a safe deposit box. And I had a suspicion about the safe deposit. When I joined the bank, they were not even monitoring safe deposit boxes at all. This is not my customer. He's just renting a safe deposit box. What he can do? I got hand bombs, guns, machine guns, bullets, automatic guns dismantled inside my safe deposit boxes. How did I trigger that? Multiple visits and multiple safe deposit boxes. You have big sizes, you have small sizes. The guy has 5 small sizes. Why? Because when they get the sniper gun and he dismantles it, he keeps each one in their separate box. So he doesn't want a big one because he doesn't want to mix it. And daily he's coming. That's not how this product is being operated. I don't take off my watch every day after I leave my work and put it in a safe deposit box. And in the morning I go to the bank, open the box and wear my watch. That's not how the safe deposit box is designed. But I keep there, for example, my home title deed, which I will need it once every blue moon. The lady will keep her jewelry that she will use it when she go to a wedding or to an event, but not her daily necklace that she wears. So she will take a shower, go to the bank, wear her necklace, and go home. That doesn't operate. What would bring a person twice a day to my bank to see his safe deposit box? What is he doing? And I called the bank. I said, guys, what is happening? They said, no, we don't have the right to see what's there in the safe deposit box because the customer has to enter alone. We just go with him. We open with one key. He goes open with the other key, and he's there in privacy. I installed high-definition cameras after that to make a zoom and to see what's there inside the box. Guns and weapons. And I reported the guy, and I added him on the blacklist. Mohsen Al-Fadli, check him. In Kuwait, I am the one who's adding him on the blacklist. This is one case. Another case, drug dealer. I am the warehouse. The police raid the home, they don't find drugs. Where is the drugs? In my bank. He comes in the morning and the afternoon. In the morning to take his budget for the day. He goes and sells. Market is good, he will come again to take more. Market is bad, he will come the following day. Every day he's coming at the same time. Drugs, heroin, cocaine inside my safe deposit boxes. So can you imagine? And we're still looking at accounts. Guys, the guys are very smart. They are very smart. You need to look everywhere. Nobody will look at that direction, I'm telling you. 2 STRs and I got a certificate of appreciation from the police. Mohsen Al-Fadli was killed, he was shot dead after that. Based on my thing, I reported and they got the gun. The police came to the bank and they saw the guns, machine guns and hand guns and TNTs and I have, yeah. Yeah, so is it clear? So again, as I said, UBO is very important. Ultimate beneficial owner is very, very important. Those who see that in your customer base, these are the Muppets. The real money lenders can be walking into your bank every day without you knowing them. This is the message that I want to give. PTAs, as we spoke in the morning, payable through accounts. PTAs, in a nutshell, not to confuse you, it's a correspondent banking. The only difference is when I go to, if I'm maintaining a normal account with a bank, the traditional correspondent banking, I will go, let's say my account is with Mashreq Bank. I'll go to Mashreq Bank. I will ask them to make a transfer for me. Mashreq will contact his US correspondent, and the US correspondent will pay to my beneficiary in New York. In the PTA, I will not contact Mashreq Bank. Mashreq Bank will open a correspondency account for me in my name with Citibank. So tomorrow I want to make a transfer. I will give instructions directly to Citibank to debit my PTA account to give the beneficiary. So you got the difference? So in PTA, you do not give your instructions to your bank, you give your instruction to the correspondent bank directly without passing this instruction through your bank.
But these are allowed?
These are allowed, yes. In US. PTAs is allowed. So for example, today, if my son is studying in the US, I can easily open a correspondent account with Citi, and I will instruct Citi to debit my account, pay my son, because it's his school fees, his whatever he needs there. Yeah. From here you can do it. You don't need to fly or not need to go to your local bank or anything. I'll immediately contact Citibank, give them instruction to debit my account with them, and they will pay. Although that account is not opened by me because that's not a customer account, that's a correspondent. Mashreq Bank is the one who opened that account for me. Then you can go. So for example, if it's on Friday and Mashreq Bank is closed, US is open on Friday, I can give the instruction that, and my son can receive the money on Friday itself. And the time. And the time.
As well as the conversion amount.
That's right. That's right.
The fees that is also involved in doing such
Sure.
transfers.
Sure. Because you don't pay your bank any fees in this case. You are paying only for the correspondent bank.
This is if you are dealing with the bank here that has.
Yeah, most of the banks, they have US correspondents. There's no single bank that doesn't have US correspondents. The bank is blacklisted. So any bank can do that for you. PTAs is quite familiar in the US.
So this is allowed.
This is allowed, yes.
And this is high risk.
Very high risk because Citibank doesn't know me at all. They just open an account based on Mashreq instruction. Assuming, see, look at the word, assuming, and this word is accurate, assuming that Mashreq KYC'd me. What if Mashreq didn't?
Do proper KYC, so
Then
They will ask the KYC from the other bank.
they will not ask. They will rely on the KYC done by the other bank.
Well, that's why they were.
They will not ask for the KYC. It's like the syndicated loan, where you have a bank fronting who is taking all the KYCs. The other banks are relying on the main bank. They have the right to ask. They have the right, but normally they don't.
But the
Like,
responsibility of KYC still lies with the correspondent.
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
even with Mashreq,
Even with Mashreq, but the risk here is on the correspondent because Mashreq is out now. The correspondent is getting instruction for somebody. Maybe that somebody is a bad guy.
Sam, I have a question.
Sure.
So, typically, this account that is a paid-through account,
Mhm.
which has been set up on the instruction of Mashreq, how exactly is that being funded then? Is it that it's being debited through Mashreq's own internal?
I can ask Mashreq to replenish my account. So I pay Mashreq, Mashreq replenish my account.
Okay.
Yeah. Or if I have other arrangement, I can replenish the account. So it's easy.
You can transact means already existing funds you can transact there, but to
You have to replenish because it's a correspondent. It's not a customer account. Like you don't get an ATM on it. It's a correspondent account. It's an internal account. It's correspondent account. Not it's like a Vostro account, not a customer account.
Your bank
To replenish. Yes. Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Will not be in the name of that customer.
It can be direct or indirect. It can be in the name of Mashreq, Favor Hussam, or it can be in the name of Hussam direct. It can be.
Funds therein will only
Would be mine. Mine. Yeah, my funds. Not.
Something similar to a credit line. Like it's pretty common in the US.
No, there's no credit here. It's your money.
Yeah, it's your money. It's something similar to a credit line,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of common in the US, which I believe it's not a physical credit card or a debit card, you know, a card that they hold. It's a
Mhm.
credit line which is being offered to a particular individual,
Yeah.
which is linked to a bank account.
Yeah.
And it's not like, you know, so it's not like it's directly debited from the person's account, but it's a credit line extender which he can use as a number of
That's right.
those details.
Right.
And, you know, of course, the person has to repay back. Like, you know, in this case, the account is being replenished or being funded back.
That's right.
But it's something similar to that then.
Yeah, some sort of. So the whole purpose of this account is that you're using this Vostro account for payments. You know, payments for your beneficiaries in that country. That's the whole idea of the PTA. So I gave you all the definitions. So as I said, it's a correspondency. So if in the exam they told the PTA is a correspondent account, true or false? Yes, it's a correspondent account with direct access of the client. So again, here we have one new term, which is PTA, payable through account.
Say it again,
PTA is a correspondent account. Okay. The last thing is, just before I conclude, we have something called reverse money laundering. That can be new to many of us. Reverse money laundering. In money laundering, we mentioned that we must have a predicate crime. In reverse money laundering, you do not have a predicate crime. So the money or the assets are legal or illegal? Legitimate, legal. Because you don't have a predicate crime. That means the assets are illegal. So what's the problem? These legal assets are used for illegal purposes. So it's the other way around. Okay? You do not have a predicate crime. Because the source of funds, the source of asset is clean, legitimate, legal. So the reverse money laundering is the deposit of legal, legitimate funds into the financial system, moving these funds from one institution, account, and or country to another, and then withdrawing these funds to support criminal activity. Examples. You earn your salary, you buy drugs, reverse money laundering. You have a pizza shop, you use the proceeds to buy weapons, reverse money laundering. Terrorism financing, reverse money laundering. Okay? So the best example, of course, is terrorism financing. Terrorism financing is reverse money laundering. But once you do terrorism financing, you get one free, money laundering. So if you do terrorism financing, although it's a reverse money laundering, you get charged with money laundering also. Buy one, get one free offer.
proceeds of drug
That's money laundering. No, that's money laundering. Here, like, you know, when you sell drugs, the source of funds here is illegal. But I'm talking about when you earn your salary and you buy drugs. So the source of your salary is legitimate, but you are using that for illegal purpose, buying drugs. Yeah, it's a cycle. So now it's reverse. So reverse. That reverse itself becomes a predicate crime for money laundering. It's a cycle. So it's a cycle. You got the point? So here the money is clean. You used it for buying drugs. Now the drugs is a crime. That's money laundering. You got the point? So it's a cycle, complete cycle. Okay? So terrorism, what's the definition of terrorism? هنوقف خلاص بس 2 slides remaining. I just want to finish them so that I stop here. Terrorism is intended to intimidate a population or to compel a government or an international organization to do or abstain from doing any specific act through the threat of violence. Any financing of this is called terrorism financing. There are very important elements for terrorism financing. if you want to maintain a proper terrorism financing organization, you must ensure that there is a financial infrastructure. That's the key for any terrorist activity. And cutting off financial support to terrorists and terrorist organization is essential to disrupting their operation and preventing their attacks. A terrorist without money is useless, poses no risk to me. So the most important is the money, the terrorist money. If I cut his access to funds, he's useless, he's harmless. Okay? I want to blow the World Trade Center. That's bad. Do you have the money? No. Okay. I want to blow the World Trade Center and I have the money. That's a risk. That's very important. That's a threat.
Agreeable and sort of debatable. Why? Because in today's times, and recently those attacks, wherein people have actually gone on foot and have done all, what kind of financing is really required for that? You just brainwash somebody, and the guy will just walk away with a knife and go on a rampage, start killing people.
Yeah, but you looked at the last end of it. But look at the whole process. Those who got those people, who brainwashed them, who hired them, that all requires money. You got my point? So you looked at the end result. You got some guy who is extremist, who has a huge hatred for somebody. But who put him in that position? There is a huge funding to move that guy to that situation. You got the point? So they will need funding. Yeah.
I mean, that funding is there, but what I'm trying to say is that in order to kind of execute a particular act,
the planning stage
requires funding. Exactly. The planning, the training, the brainwashing, all that requested funding to end up with that product.
That's where the problem is. See, that's the difficult part to detect.
Yeah.
Because if you're just gathering people, you can justify that.
Yeah.
You can't just say that, okay, there's a terrorist activity happening out there.
Sure.
Unless something is executed.
That's right. That's right. That's why now they have financing of proliferation. I don't need to wait for the terrorist activity to happen, but those who finance weapons, that's a ticking bomb. So I don't want to wait for the terrorist activity to happen. Just when you finance proliferation, that means you are under terrorism financing. Okay? So there are 3 stages of terrorism financing, just quickly. Collection, dissemination, and usage. There we had placement, layering, and integration. The collection is collection of both legitimate and illegitimate funds deposited into the financial system. But we mentioned that terrorism financing is reverse money laundering. The illegitimate here, open to brackets, plus money laundering. They have to be laundered. So at the collection stage, all the money are clean. Whether it has been clean from the beginning, didn't need to be laundered, or whether it was dirty and then it was laundered. Okay? Dissemination, disconnecting the relation between the source of funding and the executor. Okay? It's similar to layering. Why didn't you call it layering? Because the objective is different. How they do it? Also series of transfers, multiple transfers. But the objective in money laundering was to hide the illegal source of funds. Here the source of funds is legal. So why am I doing that? To disconnect the relation between the person who's financing, who's the real terrorist, and the one who's executing the terrorist activity, who's the victim terrorist. You have 2 types of terrorists. Okay? Once they disconnect, of course here, if they fail to disconnect, they will never do the terrorist activity. They will never do the terrorist activity if the one who's financing is exposed. They will not do it. Because these people are the mastermind. The other people are the victims. I don't care if he goes and dies. Actually, I'm sending him to blow himself, to die. But the one who's financing him has always to be protected. So once they disconnect, they can use the money to do a terrorist activity and to fund terrorist organizations. Okay? And then I gave you how the money laundering and terrorism financing are happening hand in hand. And as you can see, series of arrows and movement. And the difference or comparison between money laundering and terrorism financing, I'll leave that for you to read today.